everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Rachel Amma and I am back with some more Christmas recipes to share with you guys. I've been asked so many times what I'm making for Christmas, and in all honesty, I don't know this year. I'm a bit lost. Everyone raves about nut roast. I've never really had one I've enjoyed. People rave about seitan. As you guys know, I don't actually cook with seitan that often. It's not really my favorite thing to eat. So that brings me here today. I thought I would try a nut roast versus a seitan recipe. So it gives you guys the option to decide what you guys want to make for Christmas. And we're gonna kind of test them out and see how they work and if they really do make that ultimate Christmas dinner. So I've got a couple recipes to share with you that are gonna help you this Christmas. A vegan gravy. I love a good gravy. So I've got a really delicious, epic one to share with you guys. And on top of that, we've got a nut roast recipe and we've got a seitan recipe. I'm not gonna call it seitan beef, it's just seitan. Nut roast, seitan, and an epic gravy. And then at the end, we'll do a little bit of a taste and see what one wins for me this Christmas. Am I gonna do a nut roast? Am I gonna do a seitan recipe? I mean, you guys know me. What one do you think I'll do? That would be interesting. In the comments, let me know what you think I'll make. Please give this video a thumbs up if you're excited for the recipes. Don't forget to subscribe because I'm here every week with new videos to share with you guys. And I really hope you guys enjoy these recipes and they help you this Christmas. First things first, we're gonna set off with our nut roast recipe. So let's just dive straight in. So we've got celeries, leeks, dried cranberries, some fresh parsley, garlic, carrots, some chestnuts. These are already cooked, so they're good to go. And then some mixed nuts. Super simple ingredients. Let's see how it tastes. First thing I'm gonna do is get all these nuts and I'm gonna pulse them down. So we don't want them to be too fine, but we do want to break them down. So just add it to a blender and get pulsing. So now that we've broken the nuts down into small chunks, I'm gonna get my chestnuts and I'm gonna blend those separately just because they are already cooked and I don't want them to go too mushy. And then I'm also gonna add in a vegetable stock cube. So these are our chestnuts. As you can see, the texture is a lot softer because they are already cooked. And they're gonna help combine everything together. Then I'm just gonna add in the rest of the nuts to mix in with the chestnuts. So now to make the rest of it, I've got some celery and I'm gonna finely chop up my celery, get it nice and small, and I'm also gonna chop up some leeks. They are part of the same family, but I love using both of them. I'm such a leek lover. Just get them all in there. So I just wanna cut these, get them nice and small. And then again, another family member, some onions. So we're gonna slice up these red onions and get them nice and small. You can dice them, you can slice them. Just do however you like to cut them to make them nice and small. So I'm just gonna heat a little bit of oil in a pan, use water if you don't wanna use oil. Add in my red onions, get them to start to soften. Then I'm gonna add in my leeks and my celery and start cooking that down. Season with a little bit of salt and black pepper, lots of black pepper. So I'm gonna use about 2 cloves of garlic, use more or less, depending on how much garlic you wanna use. And we want it to start browning a little bit. You don't wanna burn it, but the brown adds a little bit of flavor. So if you get a little bit of brown, a bit of caramelization, it's only a good thing, as long as you don't burn it. Then I'm gonna add in some garlic. I'm gonna add this straight in here, and then I've got some carrots. With the carrots, I'm just gonna grate them, which means they're gonna cook really easily, quickly. Then I'm gonna add in the carrots straight in with my onions, celery, leeks, which are nice and brown and delicious. And just cook that down before combining it with the rest. Now I'm just adding in all my cooked carrots, onions, and everything straight in with the nuts. Season it with a really generous bunch of parsley, fresh parsley, and we're just gonna mix to combine. I'm adding a little bit of plant-based milk. You could use water or plant-based milk and just mix it up, preferably in a bigger bowl. And then lastly, I'm gonna add in some cranberries to add a little bit of sweetness, and it's nice and Christmassy. So I'm going to add this straight to my baking tray, baking tin, fill it up, and I'm gonna dash it in the oven. And I am covering it. I don't have a lid, so we just make do with what we've got. And I'm gonna put it on about 200 or 180 degrees C UK. Cook it until it browns and crisps up, about 30 minutes, and you get this really gorgeous nut roast. So let it cool down. Once it's cool, take it straight out and get it ready for serving. So we're gonna find out how I enjoy this. Now we're gonna go ahead and make the gravy. Now I'm gonna make a lot of gravy because I like a lot of gravy. And you need those crispy roast potatoes, fluffy insides, drenched with gravy. That to me is one of my favorite parts about a roast dinner, Christmas dinner, potatoes and gravy. All about the veg. So let's get into this gravy. I've got miso paste, thyme, bay leaves, leek, celery, carrots, some dried shiitake mushrooms, some red onion, vegetable stock, and some red wine, or you could use some port. And then some garlic. I'm gonna slice up some celery, nice and small, and I'm also gonna slice up some leeks, just like before, add it all to a nice big bowl, since I have one tiny chopping board. I'm gonna slice up my red onion, again in slices, but you could do however you like to chop your onions. And grate some carrot. These are like typical wintry vegetables. And of course, slice up the garlic. I'm gonna add that all straight into a big pot. You can saute this in water or you can saute this in oil, up to you. So you just wanna mix it up and you wanna get that brown caramelization because that's gonna add way more flavor. So let it happen, just don't burn it. Add in the carrots, mix it all together. Once it's started to brown and cook down, then I'm gonna add in some garlic, which I've just roughly chopped up. And this is the base of our gravy. For some more flavors, I've got some bay leaves, some fresh thyme. You could also add some rosemary. Mix it all in there. And then once it's browned, we're gonna add in the red wine. I would have added more, I just didn't actually have any more. So you just wanna burn out the alcohol with the wine. So you wanna put it on a high heat and let it bubble. And after a while, you'll see it begins to reduce. And that means we're burning out the alcohol. As you can see, we're getting less and less and less. You don't want to completely get rid of it, you just want to reduce it slightly. Then after that, I'm going to add in some vegetable stock, followed with lots of water. So I'm adding about almost 2 liters of water because I want to make a lot of gravy. Then I've got a nice generous amount of miso paste. You could also add Marmite to this. Mix it all together, add in some fresh black pepper, lots of it, and then some dried mushrooms. I would prefer to use porcini mushrooms, but all I had was shiitake. And I'm just gonna mix that together. It helps bring out a really nice color and it adds some great flavor. I also forgot to mention I added in a little bit of the beetroot juice that I do have, but I'll put that down below so you guys can follow the recipe. So now we've got this really rich in color, almost broth that we're gonna thicken up and make a gravy. It's full of flavor, super simple. We've made loads of it because who doesn't want tons of gravy? So I'm just gonna drain it out, and then what you can do with all the leftover, the carrots, the celery, the mushrooms, you can use that to make a stuffing. So I've got all this gravy. You need a little gravy at Christmas. I love to put gravy all over my potatoes, so we've got a nice, good amount here. Some of the gravy, we're gonna pour it back in that same pot. Then we're gonna make a little cornstarch slurry. So you just wanna get 1 part corn flour or cornstarch, depending on if you're in the UK or if you're in America, and 2 parts water. Mix it together. Then once it's combined, add it straight to the gravy. And the gravy is on a heat. So the heat from the gravy and the cornstarch slurry will activate and it will start to thicken up your gravy. Well, now it's time to make the seitan. So if you guys don't really know seitan, most people do by now. It's made out of wheat gluten, which is just the gluten from flour. It's all the protein. It's very heavy. It can be manipulated to make interesting textures that mimic some meaty textures, which is why a lot of people like to make them. And when you buy your meat replacements, your vegan meat replacements, they're often made with seitan. So it is still a soy-free recipe, but obviously if you're celiac, this is not by any stretch of the imagination a recipe for you. But if you like seitan, you'll probably like this recipe. So let's get into the seitan recipe. I've got some soy sauce, miso paste, some seasonings like paprika, nutmeg, garlic, onion, bit of olive oil, then obviously the vital wheat gluten, which is what you make seitan out of. I've got some beetroot juice and some chickpea flour. Let's give it a go. So I've got 2 cups of vital wheat gluten, a 1/3 cup of chickpea flour, Then we've got all our seasonings, which we're just gonna mix in there too. Then for our wet ingredients, I've got beetroot juice, some plant-based oil, so any of your favorite oils, soy sauce, some water, and some miso paste. And then you just want to mix and blend that until the miso paste mixes in with the sauce. So you just want to add the wet to the dry, gently mix it together, and you just want it to be able to bounce back, if that makes sense. So when you kind of try and fix it together, it slightly expands and bounces back. So you want to knead this for about 10 minutes. The more you knead it, the firmer it will be. Then to my pot, I'm gonna add in a bit of vegan butter, or you could use olive oil, just so I can slightly sear the top and bottom. I'm gonna get some garlic, crush that in there. Any fresh herbs like thyme, rosemary, bay leaves that you wanna use, get that in there too. And we're just gonna get a little bit of a sizzle before we add in essentially like a stock, so that it can just sit and cook for about 5 hours. So we've kind of browned off the tops and bottoms, so now I'm gonna add in some vegetable stock. Then I'm adding in some water, some beetroot juice, some soy sauce, a little bit more water, lots of cracked black pepper, and we've already got the rosemary, the garlic, the bay leaves in there. Super simple. So I'm cooking this for about 5 hours. It starts off really pink, but the longer you cook it, the more you get this really rich, dark brown color. And every now and again, you'll flip it over, get the juices flowing, and then this is the final amazingness. And I'm gonna use the leftover liquid, and I'm gonna add it to the gravy as well. And if you're just making this, you can make a gravy out of this. If it does dry out while it's cooking, just keep adding a little bit more water. So I've got these roast potatoes, which I quickly cooked. If you want to know how to make roast potatoes, I've done them before, but if you want to know more, let me know down in the comments. Super simple. If you have me on Instagram, you would have seen I actually went through the steps on my Instagram. Crispy on the outside, nice and fluffy on the inside. So here I've got my nut roast, and this is a baby plate because it's a taste test, right? Adding some of the gravy I made, roast potatoes, bit of cabbage, bit of carrot, and then this is the big, I don't know what to call this bad boy. We're just gonna call it a bad boy right now. Gonna slice it up. And it's really easy to cut into. And you get these little pieces. And look at, I mean, it looks pretty insane. It looks pretty crazy. So, there we have 3 epic recipes for you guys. Which one do you think done it for me? I'm gonna be making the nut roast purely because seitan is great, it's just not really me. I just like vegetables and whole plant-based foods more. There's more flavors and it's just more me. However, the seitan is really cool. If you already like seitan, you'll probably love this recipe. Just make sure you knead it for a good like 10 minutes because that's what's gonna firm it up a little bit. If you don't knead it enough, it might be a bit soft and it might be a bit more spongy. And if you over knead it, you can make it too chewy. So you want to knead it for about 5 to 10 minutes. If you have one of those machines that knead for you, just put it on for about 10 minutes and let it do its job. If you're using your hands, it's just a little bit of a workout for you. It's great, it's Christmas. What's great about that as well, actually, I should have said, you can make the seitan ahead of time. So you can make it the day before Christmas. Same with the gravy, you can make it before the day of Christmas. The only things that you want to make really fresh are the roast carrots, the greens, the potatoes. Those are the things that you want to come straight out the oven on Christmas Day and straight on people's plates. You don't want to reheat those. However, the seitan, you can make that the day before. The gravy, you can also make that the day before. How do I describe seitan, someone who's never had it before? It is a meaty-ish texture. It's a little bit firm. It has a nice spring to it, as you saw in the clip. We flavored it, we seasoned it. It looks like meat, which is actually crazy. We made a gravy with it. It will do your seitan dreams if you love seitan. If you're not a fan of seitan or you're celiac and you like nuts, we've got a nut roast. If you're allergic to nuts, if you're allergic to wheat, I've let you down. I guess I'm gonna have to come up with something else. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the recipes. I hope you guys enjoy them for your Christmas dinner this week. Let me know in the comments what your favorite vegan centerpiece Christmas goal recipe is. I would love to know what you guys are gonna do. I'm gonna do the nut roast. Let me know what you'd prefer to do from this video, whether you prefer the nut roast or you prefer that bad boy seitan beast that looks like meat. Definitely a showstopper to anyone. When people look at that, they're not gonna think it's vegan. That's fact. They're not gonna think it's vegan at all, not in the slightest. Showstopper. But if you just like your whole foods and your plant foods, get that nut roast in ya. And obviously, if you guys have me on Instagram, you would have seen the whole lead up to this video because I've been sharing so much on my Instagram because I've had roast dinner every night because I've had some, let me tell you, I am living my best life. I love a roast dinner. Even being vegan, it doesn't mean I don't love a roast dinner. Those roast vegetables and gravy and roast potatoes, Anyway, Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas, and I will see you next week.